Here we are, 2022,
Yep.
the next season of Moped Outlaws.
Yes.
Of course, we're delivering this as a message from the past, from
Yep.
Friday, January 31st,
The last day of the
or
year.
December 31st.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Well,
ready
we
to have some
both
fun?
must be kind of like half asleep. We're all sort of like, ugh. Yeah, we're gonna have a great time today talking about
The man, the myth, the legend,
Keanu
Keanu
Reeves
Reeves.
and also Matrix. So did you watch it again?
Oh, yeah.
And
Well, and what?
what do you think?
Well, let's see. I think it's best to inform people that I'm kind of a non-critic. I'm kind of like a movie slut. I'm like, yeah, I like them. I like
I love
movies.
movies, and I still have
So I
no
don't
problem
spend a lot
saying,
of time being disappointed or trying to figure out why something is this or that or better or not better. And, you know, yes, there I will relate to whether my expectations were met or not. So I had just the right expectations for Matrix 4 Resurrections because I liked it. I had a good time. I actually really liked watching it the second time because I stayed awake.
ah, not a critical response.
Well, see, I'm trying to be funny, and it was late the first time I watched it, the night I watched it, and it was quite a day, and we'll talk about that later. Um, so here we are, Matrix Resurrections, or how to jump off a building 19 times.
Or how to write a book and call it a movie.
Why do you say that?
It was a heavy-handed piece of shit. It was such. Here's why I say that. One of the scenes that stands out in my mind is at the very beginning when Bug, is that her name? The captain, couldn't quite pick up her name, when she first meets Morpheus in
Bugs.
Neo's Bugs,
Yeah.
whatever. All right. And she's all like, and then she finds out like he's Morpheus, and she gives her this big hug, like, oh my gosh, it was so great. And there was nothing to support that emotion. It just came out of nowhere to me. And there was a lot of that. Like, isn't this neato? No, it isn't. And a whole lot of dialogue talking about how people, what's real, was it in your mind and the memory, and we took the efflux resex of the BAB, and we just on and on and on and on and on. I think movies are primarily showing a story, and Matrix Revolutions was telling us, it was narrating a story.
So it should have been a
And
silent movie.
it should have been an audiobook.
It probably is.
God, yes. And I just think, and then there's, like, oh, isn't that clever? You just right at the beginning said Warner Brothers was going to redo Matrix and they would take away your contract if you didn't get involved. So here you are with number 4 because the boogeyman
So,
has
so
forces you to
what
do it.
other movie has ever called out the reality of the studio system in the film itself?
Yeah,
Like,
but it
can't
was
you celebrate
weak.
that as an artistic achievement?
No, and that's part of what the
Oh,
bile for me is. No, I can't, because there was so much look at me, clever me. And
so
no,
you're
and it
saying the
just,
movie was too clever for its own good?
yeah, it was way too much of Lana, like, oh, look at this, I know what a blah 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 is, and I took the blah, like, okay, Lana, okay. And that's kind of how all 3 movies are for me after the first one. The first one is epic. It is so good. And part of the reason for me is because there's a story. You're
There's a
not,
mystery.
Yeah, you're not hearing someone tell you everything. You're exploring it with the characters.
Wow. So let me ask it this way: should it have been just not made at all?
Yes.
So there's no good reason to have made Resurrections, as far as you're concerned.
Well, this movie was primarily Neo loves Trinity, Trinity loves Neo, nothing will keep them apart.
Okay.
And you had 3 hours of computer hack garbage that made no sense, and some psychology, you know,
So
spirituality
so I asked
chaos.
you, should it have been made, and you said no.
No, not this one, not this one. But
Okay,
I'm
but
not saying
a
that a
Matrix
fourth
4
one.
should have been made.
So I'm always for a good movie.
Okay, so a Matrix 4 in Greg Wilker's world would have had what? You've got
All
Keanu
right, so
Reeves and the other
just the
actress.
spark, just the spark that comes to mind is um, there was a little intrigue with Neo and the whole thing that he's at the psychiatrist's office, and what's real, and are you having episodes again? So I think it would have. The seed that I would start with that comes to my mind is Neo wakes up, and there's this thing like,
Well,
why am I
wait a
not
minute.
dead?
Slow down, because Neo is the guy in the pod. So are you saying
Yeah,
Anderson wakes up? Thomas Anderson wakes up?
no, because that is Neo.
Well,
And
no.
that's the thing. So, like, here's what I would say: like, Neo wakes
Neo's the
up,
guy who plays Thomas Anderson.
but they are one and the same.
Right, but I'm trying to make a distinction as to which one you mean when you say he wakes up. That has multiple
I'd say
meanings.
Neo in the Matrix. So, in this case, Neo, the character Neo in the Matrix, comes to consciousness. Like,
Okay, so I'm going to stop you because even in the first film, when he's in the Matrix, he's
right,
Thomas Anderson. He's not Neo. Neo is the guy that wakes up
right. But
out of the
then
pod.
Neo, okay, so let's say Thomas Anderson
Thank
starts
you.
coming conscious of the Matrix. And his first question is, why am I alive, or am I alive? That would be the whole thing. So, like, picture you experience your death, and then you're like, wait, I'm not dead. What's going on? That would have been the linchpin for me to enter a story.
Okay, so we enter the story with this guy waking up. Is he alone? Is he in bed? What's going on? Where is he?
Well, that's a great question. I don't know. We're gonna write a story in this
Well,
episode.
we're having fun, right? So we're basically, you're saying it's a shit movie and they could have done better, and you had some ideas, and I'm just trying to get those ideas because, to me,
Well, I don't. I no, I didn't say I had ideas.
I'm
Maybe,
coaxing them out of you.
yeah. You're coercing them out of me. You are the Warner Brothers.
I am not.
um, I'd say that he's alone in some sort of decrepit warehouse type situation. Like, that was part of the thing in the very first one. Is his apartment was dark. He was a loner. There was, so part of the development of the story was him befriending people, his relationships growing with other characters. Because again, at the beginning, he's a loner. So I think he should be back to being a loner.
Okay.
And I think there should be people on the other side that are attempting to contact him, get in touch with him.
Okay. So he's back in the Matrix, and there's people that realize that he didn't die that are trying to get in touch with him.
Right.
And that's how the film opens. And he's still living the poor, dark hacker version of the Matrix, not the successful, fully developed corporate owner partner.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Right.
And that's
Right.
the entry point.
And that's the entry point.
And
Yeah, and
okay,
there's
cool.
just again like the dialogue with the general, Jada Pinkett Smith's
Mhm,
character
mhm.
just was like, what the instead of watching a story, you're listening to a story. That was my experience. I just was
Yeah.
like, who really cares?
It's funny
And
because
mostly like,
I get into this place where I listen to and read and hear, what people say, in particular what you have to say, and I'm like, either like I'm really grateful because I have none of that. I had a fucking great time. The movie seemed fine to me. There were all these emotional highs for me, and then where I felt tension and concern, right? So I went along for the ride and was rewarded with a positive experience. And I wasn't sure right up until the last minute, like how it was all going to turn out. Um, one of the significant things for me about it was how, oh God, this is awful. Like, what's the woman actress who plays Trinity? What's her name? Do you know?
I don't know her name.
Yeah.
Carrie-Anne Moss.
So in the film, and if you're listening to the podcast and you haven't seen the movie, spoiler alert, like we're about to just talk
Yeah.
about stuff. Like, forget about it. Like we're going deep. Just turn it
Turn
off
off
if you don't
that.
want to hear it. But after Greg's thing just said, you probably don't care. Like if you haven't seen it
Well,
by now, you don't
but
care.
I'm of the minority. Most people looking at Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 65% from critics and a 63% audience review. So
So, which is a D minus or an F if we grade it on a school basis. Anyway, so Carrie-Anne Moss's character Trinity,
yeah.
there's this important scene where they jump off a building and Neo can't fly anymore. And she's holding him and she's the one.
Yeah, and he says, "Oh, I'm glad you brought that up because in my notes I had that. Like, what's your thoughts about that?"
Well, I think that's another form of symbolism about the divine feminine and the rise of the divine feminine in the current time frame we're in. Right? And it's in a way Lana Wachowski, who has become transsexual, is now elevating the female hero. So instead of Neo being the center of this, it's still centered around his experience, but the heroic figure is the person who chooses. She turns around at the last minute and chooses him. And then when everything is falling apart, her energy is what elevates them again. So in some respects, it's like correcting some of the more male centric archetypes that are part of Hollywood.
I did appreciate that aspect to it.
Yeah. And I love the way that there's so much with the black cat, and there's, a new kind of architect, not really an architect, but an agent. And, you know, the the meta aspect of it I thought was really great. It was reminded me of a like 60s or 70s art film in its willingness to just spear itself for all of that. And I thought talking shit about Warner Brothers executives in their own movie when they threatened to make it without you was just a freaking triumph of
Now, do you
cinematic.
think that's real? Do you think that
Yes.
really
Yes,
you do?
everything I've read is that they were saying, "Look, we're going to make this movie with or without you."
Really?
Yeah,
Hmm.
and they'd been talking about it, and they were about to do it without Keanu and just like another Matrix with a whole bunch of different cast of characters. And Lana was the only way that Keanu and oh God, how can I not know her name again? It was only 3 years.
Carrie-Anne Moss.
Carrie-Anne Moss. Um,
How come Lana's sister isn't involved with this one?
That's a great question. I think um, we'd what she said in a German interview, what Lana said in a German interview, was that when she asked her sister, um, they just weren't interested, and she didn't elaborate as to why or what they're up to.
All right.
Um, Things I loved about the movie. Uh, just all of the meta stuff when they were walking through the theater and the projections are on the screen and there's these things where he's touching the mirror and then he's being consumed by the mirror. All of
Mhm.
that really felt to me like um, cheesy 70s art house meta art movie stuff, and I like that they could do that with a big budget film. um, I love the disorienting way that they would run through buildings and change the, what I'll call an Escher move, right? Where they
Yeah.
change the center of gravity.
Right.
I love the comic moment when Neo tries to fly and he goes to push against the ground and nothing
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah. And his line, nope, not happening. That was perfect. That was very good.
Right?
Because there was a little bit of energy to it, like a little bit of nope, not happening. They're like, oh, okay, what's next then? What's our next move? That was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm a true romantic, so having love be at the center of the whole, MacGuffin of the movie. Like, can they get back together? And that moment when they touch, and there's this disruption of all of the negativity around them. I
Mhm.
found that allegory very satisfying, and I think it's a great metaphor for something that people are talking about more and more, which is this mythology of the Heros Gamos, or the unification of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And so, in this sense, it's another way for that to sort of be explored, that we need each other. Together we can overcome everything. And from a hermetic level, the fundamental piece of the nature of the universe is comprised of gender in both masculine and feminine energies, which is not the same as male and female per se, and that they are come together in the duality of like the Taoism, yin and yang, all of these things to form the one. Not so at the crux of this thing is like, well, who's the one? And for 3 films, it was Neo's the one. Very male centric kind of point of view. It turns out without her, he's not the one. And the one is actually the summation of these two energies.
Yeah, and I like the concept of the evil guy. He needs to keep them close to gain their energy, but too close and shit happens. He couldn't control it. So that was a fun
Which
concept
is an
too.
allegory for how advertisers use us all the time to try and like get us to do what they think we should do, to like
Right.
make ourselves appealing to the opposite sex. And
So I'll say like Lana, she definitely is capable of highly entertaining me. Sense8, the first season is brilliant. And from my understanding, that's hers. The second season, though, sucked, in my opinion. And then her wrap up movie was kind of like, eh. And it was because I'm gonna walk into the fire with this one. But the same with Glee. Like Glee, the first season I thought was brilliant because there was story and you had transgender characters and gay characters and all these things, but they were part of the story. And then the second season, it was like, oh, we're all gay and we're singing. And that there was no story anymore. And that's what happened in Sense8. And that's kind of what I think happened for me with all the other Matrix after the first one. Like the technology was so cool in the first one. And it's as though the storytellers heard everyone say, wow, that was so cool. And that's what it became about.
yeah, well, it's a lot like a band's first album that's great. Then they try to They have to try to make that album again, only
Right.
better. And no one wants them to take any deviations, right? No one wants them to like
Right.
do it differently, even though that's what it takes to develop the next level of an artistic expression, to even have the kind of potential impact of it being fresh, right? So, and I loved how in this, when they purloined that with that whole thing around the boardroom table, where they talked about having another bullet time, like we got to have another bullet time. It's got to be that, right?
Right. Did you watch to the very end of the credits?
Yes.
So that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But
Refresh
again,
my.
it was we're back at the boardroom round
Oh,
table.
right,
And
right.
they're all cat videos.
That's
But
what people
to
want.
me, like, that's what the whole movie was, is all these little clever technical jokes. There wasn't a story development.
Yeah. So in that sense, it mirrors the matrix we live in a beautiful way.
Plus, I have my little shempa about Apple and all the Apple, drones. So calling the paradise that they have IO was kind of like, oh, really? Okay.
I don't understand. What? Say more about that.
That's the Apple, like the paradise. Well, it wasn't paradise, but where human and machine are coexisting peacefully. And Jada Pickett Smith, that was the IO.
Right.
That's what the name of it was. That's the Apple system.
No, you're thinking of iOS. iOS.
No, but it is like the short of it is IO. I think that's how I've seen like .io is.
Yeah, that's actually about blockchain.
Is it?
Yeah, that domain is about blockchain.
I thought Apple used IO as its system, like
Well,
we're
that
the IO system.
I've never heard that myself, but it's iOS, right? It's mobile iOS, right? It's their operating system, the iPhone, the iPad, the
Okay,
iMac, right? So it's iOS.
right.
Point is, I get it. It felt like they were kissing Apple's ass, and you didn't like that.
Yeah. Called out just as cleanly as you did. Yep, that is real.
Hey, we get to have our preferences.
I recognize it's weak on my part, but
I wouldn't say that. It's, but what's great about this experience for me is that I lived through a period of time we, where I got to participate in something that was a lifelong dream for me, but which people received in much the same way that you received this film, which is the Star Wars prequels. And there was a lot of this kind of like, oh, about the Star Wars prequels at the time.
Yeah, especially with one of my favorite characters.
Jar
What's his
Jar,
name? Jar Jar Binks.
right? Oh, why should we have digital characters, right?
Right.
And it was almost a decade later when, in fact, it was more than a decade later when Disney was able to recapture that, and they used a lot of analog, characters again. They had people in costumes instead of digital characters, and people liked that more, right? So in a way, there's this possibility that the Matrix universe will now finally get to be played with by someone other than a Wachowski, which is what Warner Brothers was threatening. And what would happen if someone like you actually got to write the next Matrix movie? And that's why I asked you, well, how would you want it?
Right.
And I'm
Right.
I'm kind of sad because you didn't ask me.
Well, let's just stay in sadness. See how that rolls. What would you do, monkey dog?
What? I'm just trying to imagine what a monkey dog would sound like. Oh, you're hilarious. All right. All right. just off the top of my head, Matrix sequel, Mark went style, right?
Okay.
Since you did yours.
Yeah.
Um, Neo wakes up in the Matrix, but he's as Thomas Anderson, as I delineated before. And he's again working at the mid-level programmer level. He's not an executive, he's not like VP. He's just a worker drone. And he feels the frustration of not actually getting his boss to be able to help him get through to grow. He's stuck in the routine of being stuck in his house because of pandemic and the drudgery and dronery of coding, right? And he manages to get away for a vacation to South America, and he takes an ayahuasca trip. And while he's on the ayahuasca trip, he realizes that he's in the matrix and that his body's still connected. And so he gets consciously aware through a psychedelic experience that he's imprisoned in the matrix and his body's imprisoned in the pod, and they're harvesting his energy. And so the shaman there is telling him about how the mechanized society is siphoning his energy and that they're programming him to behave a certain way. And the people that are on the journey with him are also similarly controlled. And we see these archetypes of like the young woman who is super spiritual, but she's actually lost. She's in this sort of vortex of spirituality that's not actually connected to anything deeper. And then the boyfriend and the 40 something mom who's trying to get away from her life, and they all are like at this place, and they all come to this realization that they're in the matrix from their various points of view, and they're all in pods. And they do this through ayahuasca, and then they have to go back to their lives realizing that they're stuck and they can't really there's no like way for someone to jack in and come get them. It's just this torturous allegory of them realizing that they're being manipulated by this system.
In
And
the
how
next 2 hours as you watch it.
well, and it's their struggle of how they try to go about managing it while they're also consciously aware that the illusion gets shredded, and they no longer have the comfort of their illusion, and they still have to go about their daily routine of survival inside the matrix because they can't just quit, they can't just give up. And so it's about how they form relationships when they get back to their realities. And they then end up friends at the end of the movie in a metaverse type of space. So they're in the matrix, they're in reality, and then they're in this metaverse, and that's how they deal with their day-to-day things. And it's there's no bullet time, there's no big car chases, there's no crash shooting. It's a character-driven emotional movie about the circumstances that we all find ourselves in, about how we're being manipulated and our energy is being siphoned, how some of us are breaking free of the awareness of that through these new sorts of possibilities through psychedelic research. And that in the end of the day, even when we become liberated, we don't quite know what to do with that, except that a couple of them end up like starting their own off-grid farms and stuff. But to see their friends once they leave town, they have to get in the metaverse to do it. So that's like how the film ends, is there's like they're like hanging out. They've got, some people have got their lands, and they're one guy's got like the van that he tours around in. Meanwhile, Neo stays in San Francisco and continues to just program and release NFTs, and that's like how he's doing his thing. So that would be like drama, human pathos, that would be meta, right?
There's one thing that when I was hearing you, and it reminded me, a piece they showed in this movie that they didn't really touch upon at all is the machines rebuilt Trinity and Neo.
Yeah, they
Like
touched on it, but it's a very brief sort of vignette.
yeah, yeah. And so they're part machine.
Well, theoretically, the machines had them regenerate from tissues, not from.
Well, you see mechanical parts in them.
No,
And
they're
then the
coming out.
tissues
The
growing.
things.
So what I saw was that like Neo's eye. This part
Right, which
was
was blinded.
mechanical,
He was
and it was
blinded, remember?
mechanical, and then the tissue was growing around it.
Well, it
That's what I saw.
replaces it is the way I viewed it. But again, it's so short. You're right. They did a poor job of really explaining that. Are they
Yeah,
mechanical or are they tissue based?
right,
What is it?
right, right. And you could have fun with that in another movie,
So
like the next.
let's boil it down like Siskel and Ebert here. For those of you who remember them, good for you. Be sure you check your blood pressure medication. Um, what 4-star? What on a 4-star scale? What would you give this movie?
2 stars, maybe even like less. On a 4-star scale,
Yeah.
I'd have to go one star, one and a
Okay.
half.
I'm going with 3. That's my rating. One of the things that we want to do today is talk a little bit more about Keanu, and Greg's going to get quizzed, and I have a
Ah,
great quiz for him. But before we do that, I want to just kind of say, like, he's made a lot of movies, 107 different projects. Not all of them
gee.
movies, some of them games and stuff like that. But um,
Well, he's in it.
yeah. So I don't think that this is in the quiz, although I haven't read the whole quiz. So I want to ask you, of all the things that he's participated in, what film did he direct?
Oh shoot, I have no idea. I could guess. I don't think that's it. No, I know he didn't direct that. Is it a well-known movie?
Not really.
I have no idea. So he's only directed one movie?
Yep.
I have no idea.
I'm looking for it in this. It's oh dear. I had it right here for a second ago. It's something Tai Chi, the art of Tai Chi or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it a documentary or is it a
No. It's a
fictional film?
yeah.
Hmm.
I'll come up with the full name for you. Sorry that I didn't have it ready to go.
No
What's
worries.
your favorite Keanu movies? Keanu Reeves movie?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think Parenthood.
Parenthood.
Yeah.
So the name of the movie is Man of Tai Chi,
Man of Tai Chi.
and
What kind of
incidentally, Man of Tai Chi grossed 25 million in its first week, and Matrix is only at 12. Matrix Resurrection is only at 12.
wow.
All right. So, are you ready to do a Keanu Reeves quiz?
Yeah, but I don't know if high hopes. My knowledge of him is pretty
All
pretty
right. So
weak.
we're just going to go through it, and for those who are playing at home, I will answer each question as Greg gets it right or wrong, so
You
that you
know
can
what
play
though?
along.
Here's like I just checked out Man of Tai Chi a little bit. It
Hmm.
looks like it was made for the China market, and China is notorious huge money. Like in the US, it only made 5.5 million.
Yeah, but that's its first week.
Well, total in the
Oh yeah,
US,
you're
five
saying
and a half
gross
million.
U.S. is 5 million. You're right.
Yeah.
We're both looking at IMDb Pro, just for those of you who are curious about that. All right, so beginning our Keanu Reeves quiz. Where was Keanu born?
Lebanon.
You got that right. Awesome. What was the first movie that Keanu appeared in with Patrick Swayze?
Oh, Point Break.
Nope. Young Blood.
Ah,
Okay, the next question is, what does Keanu mean in Hawaiian?
no idea.
It means cool breeze over the mountains.
All right.
What is Keanu's middle name? We got 20 more to go after this.
Oh, you're kidding. I have no idea. I don't know anything about Keanu. Jerry. Keanu
Charles.
Jerry Reeves.
Charles.
Oh, that was close. Damn.
Yeah. In high school, Keanu's nickname was the Wall because he was what?
Flower Boy.
Because he was an excellent hockey goalie.
Oh, nice.
In Parenthood, Keanu played Todd Higgins. What was Todd's ambition?
To be a race car driver.
You're close.
Yeah, NASCAR driver.
Nope. To be a champion drag racer.
Okay.
Although a natural left-hander,
I
what
think
does?
I should get that one.
No, you shouldn't, because you got to be exact in my world. All right, I'll give it to you. All
In
right.
the Mark Went Matrix.
Although a
We are
natural
heroes.
left-hander, what does Keanu do right-handed?
Masturbate.
You were going to say that.
That was such an obvious
It's not an
one.
option here. It's play bass guitar, throw football, play baseball, or sign autographs.
Sign autographs.
No, it's bass guitar.
Yeah.
All right. Before playing a football quarterback in The Replacements, we saw Keanu star as what other quarterback?
Fuck, I have no idea.
Johnny Utah.
What was that?
Yeah, good question. I don't know. Who was not one of the ex-president bank robbers in Point Break? Lyndon Johnson, Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, or Ronald Reagan?
Lyndon Johnson.
No, it was Gerald Ford.
Dang it.
Which of these was?
We're just going to have 20 questions of you asking me going, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, we're still providing the answers.
Yes.
So
For
anyone
those
playing,
who want to know a lot about Keanu.
right? Well, maybe we should have brought that up at the production meeting, but all right, here we are. We got 14 more.
Right.
Which of these is a Keanu movie? The Little Bodie, The Little Bedwetter, The Little Buddy, and The Little Buddha.
The Little Buddha.
Correct. Ding, ding, ding.
Yay.
Which of these was not one of Keanu's stepfathers? Robert Miller, Paul Aaron, Jack Bond, and Scott Favor.
So 3 of them were?
I don't know. Which one of them?
Well, you're saying which one of them isn't?
Which one of these is not one of Keanu's stepfathers?
Yeah,
Robert
so
Miller,
that
Paul
means
Aaron.
3 of them are. Otherwise, the answer is all of them.
Okay. So Robert Miller, Paul Aaron, Jack Bond, or Scott Favor?
Scott Favor.
Good guess. You got it right.
Yeah.
Scott Favor's the name of his character in Mine Own Private Idaho.
Oh, that was a good movie. Oh, that's going way back. This guy's been making movies a long time.
So you might have a chance at this one.
Okay.
Name the fictitious band from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. It was the band that
Wild Stallions.
Ding, 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 ding.
That one's easy.
Okay. What did Keanu often do while playing goalie in high school, while the hockey puck was up at the other end of the ice and he was out of the action?
Cruise chicks and suck face.
Recite Shakespeare.
All right, it's close.
Yeah, it was close. Oh, you're going to love this one. Which of these is not the name of a character that Keanu played in a film?
Oh,
Sidney Hartha, Jack B. Nimble, or it's the Dog Boy, or Thomas Anderson?
The first one.
Sidney Hartha, that's correct.
Yeah.
A member of which band played Joan of Arc in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure?
Do you name the bands?
Yes.
Wait, a member.
Bananarama, the Coors, the Bangles, and the Go-Go's.
Say the Coors.
Nope.
Then it was the first one. What was the first one?
Bananarama. Nope.
Yeah. No, wait. What was the first one you said?
Bananarama, the Coors, the Bangles, or the Go-Go's.
Shit, really? It's from the Go-Go's or the Bangles?
Yeah, it was the Go-Go's.
Wow, that surprises me.
Yeah.
I thought I knew those two bands pretty well.
A member of which band played one of the bad guys in Point Break? The Beach Boys, Whitesnake, Backstreet Boys, or Red Hot Chili Peppers?
Boy, this is a guess, but I'd go with Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah, it was Flea, I think.
Yeah.
I think Flea's in that movie. Which
Is
of
he?
these is not
Flea's a
true
badass.
about Keanu? Which of these is not true about Keanu? He loves ballroom dancing. He has a degree in nuclear physics from Yale. He's afraid of the dark. And his most prized possession is a motorcycle.
He's afraid of the dark is not true.
Okay, which of these is not true about Keanu?
Yeah,
He
he's
loves
afraid
ball.
of the dark.
No, he doesn't have a degree in nuclear physics from Yale.
Oh, really?
I thought that was
A
going to be
degree.
easy.
That could be like a bachelor's degree.
Right, or an honorary one from being in the
Yeah.
Matrix, right? Whoa, we were in the Matrix. We'll give you an
Yeah.
honorary degree in
He's
physics.
afraid of the dark. That surprises me, knowing what little I know about him.
Mhm.
And I'm proving how little I know about him in this quiz.
Very soon, you'll be out of the woods. We just got 7 more to go.
All right.
In
Good
Parenthood,
God.
after Todd, Keanu, crashes his car, what were his first words when he regained consciousness?
Did I win?
Yeah, you got it. Very good. Very good. You got it. Proving that that's your favorite Keanu movie.
Yeah.
Who played Keanu's partner in crime, literally, in the film I Love You to Death? Gary Busey, William Hurt, Jeff Daniels, or William Hurd?
William Hurd.
No, William Hurt.
Uh,
Keanu's character in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is Bill S. Logan Esquire, Ted Theodore Preston, Ted Theodore Logan, or Bill S. Preston Esquire? Bill S. Logan Esquire, Ted Theodore Preston, Ted Theodore Logan, or Bill S. Preston?
Ted Theodore Preston. For the money. Ted, the
No.
second one. Dang it.
Ted Theodore Logan was the correct answer.
Uh,
In which film does Keanu play one of a group of high school students who cover up for a friend who has murdered his girlfriend? River's Edge, The River, The Jagged Edge, or The Razor's Edge?
River's Edge.
Ding, 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 ding.
That was a good movie, too.
Yeah.
God, that's going way back.
Yeah. The singer,
Was that
Chris Isaac.
78 or
I don't know. I have to look. The
Wicked
singer,
Game?
Chris Isaac, appeared in what Keanu movie? Devil's Advocate, Little Buddha, The Watcher, or The Gift?
I have no idea. The Gift.
Nope. It was the Little Buddha.
All
right. Here we go. A Matrix question.
right.
Oh, no. Wrong.
All of them suck except
Wrong.
the first
Wrong. Wrong. What fictitious nickname of the Washington, D.C. football team that Keanu plays for in The Replacement? Is it the Senators, the Stars, the Generals, or the Sentinels?
So that's a Matrix question.
I know. I was wrong.
Ding, 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 ding. Wait, so what's the question again?
What is the fictitious nickname of the Washington, D.C. NFL football team that Keanu plays for in The Replacements? The Senators, the Stars, the Generals, or the Sentinels? You got a 25% chance of getting this right.
The Sentinels.
Ding, ding, you got it right. All right, we got 2 more questions and then you'll be out of your misery, and so will our audience.
God.
Which of these Keanu films was about a prom night? The Night Before, Prom Night, Carrie, or Providence?
He was in Carrie?
It doesn't say that. It says which of these Keanu films was about a prom night? The Night Before.
Carrie.
No. It was called
Oh, I see.
The Night
They're
Before.
all movies, but he's only in one of them.
Yeah.
All right, that question was a little misleading.
I know, it's not easy, is it? All right, here we go. In which of these films does Keanu play a bad guy? Speed, Flying, The Grift, or Point Break?
That's a Point Break is arguable. You could argue that one. Name them again.
Speed,
Okay, it wasn't
Flying,
Speed.
The Gift,
Mm, the
and Point
Gift.
Break.
See, you could argue Point Break, and I don't know those other two. Wasn't Speed. I'm gonna go with what I know, which is Point Break. I know that won't be it, and I would argue that it is it. And
So The Gift is the correct answer. And now
yeah,
we're computing your percentage.
3%. You
Uh,
don't know Reeves.
oh boy, here we go. 15. You scored 12 out of 25.
Oh, that's better than I thought.
So
God,
you got less than 50%.
you don't know Reeves. Does it say anything about that? Is there any like little quip?
It
Oh,
says the
you
average
are.
score for this was 15 out of 25. So you not only did get below
It's going
50%, you
below
got
average.
less than average.
Yeah, well, who's going to answer 25 questions about Keanu Reeves? Someone who's into Keanu Reeves. Would I just naturally go look up a Keanu Reeves quiz and go, hey, no.
Yeah, well, I hear you. Like it's tough. These quizzes are tough. I had kind of faced that the last time myself. You did better on the Who.
Yeah, I know the who. Oh, where do you get these quizzes from?
Um, Google.
What you could put in a like a Keanu Reeves quiz and then it just comes up. Google comes up
Yep,
with
that's what
a
I did. And I worked at it really hard. I took the first one.
the ultimate GI Joe Keanu Reeves quiz.
What is
Oh,
there
here
not?
this.
Do you want to quiz me now just to get your revenge so you can feel better about yourself?
No, I feel fine. I don't mind that I don't know much about Keanu.
Awesome. All right, so The Man of Tai Chi, 2013, directed by Keanu Reeves, and grossed, it had a $25 million budget. No. Yeah. And it flopped horrifically. It made, this doesn't make sense.
Hmm.
Huh. Yeah, so it says the budget was 25 million, but then it says gross worldwide was 5,464,000.
Go to Box Office Mojo.
Yeah. You would think that IMDb would be able to do this better.
I think they own Box Office Mojo now. I don't know. The man, what is it called?
Man of Tai Chi. A young martial artist's unparalleled Tai Chi skills land him in a highly lucrative underworld fight club, it says.
Well, its domestic opening was 61,000.
Needless to say, it was one of his most underperforming films.
Yeah, so worldwide it made, oh, check this out. So internationally, it made 5,000,003, worldwide 5,000,004. So it made about 100,000. Yeah, 100,000 in the US theatrically.
So he's got 5 things that are currently in production. Uh, one is John Wick 5, which is in pre-production. I think John Wick 4 has already been in the can. They did it. It's not out yet. And then a film called Bloom and a film called Berserker, which
Hmm.
is based on a comic. Um, One of the things that we sort of have to cover, since we have gone deep into Keanu Reeves, is his band, which is called Dogstar. Have you
Yeah,
heard any Dogstar music?
I don't think I have. If I
Uh,
have, it didn't stick with me. That's for
yeah.
sure. Are they still like? Is he still active with them? Are they still a
In
band?
the end, he left the band to further pursue his acting career and meet his working schedule. Um,
Oh, they are still together though.
yeah, looks like their fans line up hopeful every night that Keanu
Oh
will.
no, they're not. They're not.
Uh, yeah, so they played on Jay Leno. There's some stuff here that's interesting about Jay Leno. Anyway, as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, folks, 2022 is off to a mediocre
A
start.
rollicking start.
The
Mediocre.
Keanu,
Oh,
I'm sure
you
if
give
you're still
resurrection.
listening at that point, it's because you are either related to one of us or in a relationship with one of us. And by God, bless you for sticking around this long.
Or you love Keanu Reeves, and you're like, "Fuck, I love
Yeah, I
Keanu
can't
Reeves."
believe it. Maybe at some future date, and if you're listening to this years in the future because you happen to Google Keanu Reeves and Greg put it in the title of this podcast, just know that we love you. Like that's for sure. We love you. And we're glad you joined us here on Moped Outlaws. And I suspect that if we invited Keanu Reeves to go on a moped ride with us, he'd look at us dubiously and laugh.
He'd bring out a real motorcycle.
Awesome. So, what we didn't talk about today, which sets us apart from most podcasts, is New Year's resolutions. So, don't make any. Just get better at what you're doing now.